Good evening, Josh. How you doing? Hey, Sed. How you doing? I hope I'm going to be able to see the messages because my glasses are not... Oh, there we go. I can see them a bit better now. Hey, Ross. How you doing? I'm sitting in the car, so I don't have a second screen to read. Well, actually, I do have another phone over there. Oh no, it won't work. Hasn't got a SIM in it. So I've been smoking my rusticated bent egg. There's the light. Yeah. Just enjoyed a bowl of vanilla roll cake, which was very nice. Hey, James. Yes, clearing out ditches. Everything is flooded here. Oh. Dryer tore up. Happy New Year, James. Sorry to hear that. I guess you've had some flooding. So, wish you luck with that. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. Hey, Bill, you're awesome. Quinn, how you doing? Happy New Year to you. Did your pipe arrive? Hey, Oscar, how you doing? Tim, good evening, Tim. Happy New Year. Hope you've all had an enjoyable holiday. I'm up in sort of mid to north England, up in Manchester. Manchester? Should be there Tuesday, good. Let me know what you think of it. Yeah, so I've been up for a couple of days. I'll be going back home tomorrow afternoon, and I'm itching to get back into the workshop. I do have some commissions to do, but I will be doing something a little bit different during the month of January, and I will talk about that a little bit later. Just sort of ramp things up a little bit, make things a little bit more interesting. I'll still be doing the commissions, but something slightly different on the general pipe making. So I brought with me a bunch of cigars. So I kind of brought one in particular for New Year's. Hey Jack, how you doing? Daily streams, James. Have I not been doing them enough for you? I know they haven't been daily recently, but they're almost daily. I don't think you can complain. All month long. 24/7, yeah, I should take you into my bedroom, into my bathroom. Just 24/7, watch Simon, right? Oliva Sirio, that came from Mark, Welsh Piper, as did this Tiamo, which I'm actually, it looks appetizing, I will say that. And they call it a Cuba blend, but it doesn't mean anything, in my experience. I do have some tobaccos here as well, but I've had a vanilla roll cake already. Yeah, coming to America. Coming to America. Coming to America today. My country. Sweet land of liberty. Of the eye. Of the eye sank today. I used to love that film. So this is the cigar which I think I'm going to smoke tonight. This is the Quai d'Orsay. That is Neil Diamond, the jazz singer. Indeed it is. This is a 54 ring gauge, so it's a bit of a whopper. And this one, I think Mark also sent me. He sent me a very, very generous package, I have to say. I'm trying to remember if I brought a cigar cutter. I think I did. Yeah. I brought my favourite cigar cutter along, which is the Paleo. Don't give up the day job, James, is that what you mean? Don't give up the day job. Great little cutter. It's my cutter of choice these days. Very, very sharp. Very sharp. You don't want to get your fingers in that, I tell you that much. Actually, let me see if I can put the steering wheel down. Ooh, I can put it down and in. Ah, wicked. That's much better. You can see my stomach a lot better now. And I've also got... Hey Gary, haven't seen you in a while, hope you're well. And another one of these little Churchill Davidoffs. Winston Churchill Davidoff. I have to say I smoked this one I think on Friday. Really enjoyed it. Or was it Thursday? Ooh. Excuse me, I think it was Thursday night. I did a little live after... Was it after Mike's? It was after Mike's, I think. I did a bit of a live, which was supposed to be a short live. It ended up being an hour. But really, really a tasty cigar. The thing is with this one, if I start it, that's like a couple of hours worth, or an hour and a half's worth there, which should be about right for tonight. Yes, I agree with you. The Davidoffs are smooth, they're mild and pricey. I'll agree with everything you just said. But you know, I never was a Davidoff fan. I just found that too many of their cigars would turn bitter too easily because the flavor profile was so thin, hence the mildness. But I must admit, you know, they do have several lines which I do enjoy. I'm not saying that they're bad cigars, don't get me wrong. It's about your personal preference, and for me I found them too light. But I must admit that one there is really nice. I might pick some up myself. But as you say, the problem is they're too expensive. They're in many cases more expensive than Cuban cigars, and to me that just doesn't make any sense. You know, it's an exclusive brand, I get that. It's a higher end brand, and they're entitled to charge what they like, and they're obviously selling them, otherwise they wouldn't be able to. Excuse me, they wouldn't be able to charge that kind of money if they weren't selling them, so clearly they are selling them. So they ain't going to change their pricing structure for old Simon from the UK, that's for sure. They added some, yeah, so the Nicaragua line and that whole series, those are more robust, and I do enjoy those, I must admit. Let's see who gets there first, James or Joshua. Come on. You guys are slow. Yeah, beat you to it. Yeah, I was there before you, mate. How about you hid him? Okay, fair enough. Well done. So, pipes that I brought with me, 2 of them are inside, which was my... Hey Ian, how you doing? Happy New Year to you. My Bent Billiard, which smokes Oleg Golden Slice, and my Tankard, which smokes vanillas. And I've just smoked my egg, which also had vanilla in it. And I have another 2 pipes here. I have my system pipe, which has been smoking increasingly well. And I also have a Latakia pipe, which is my Fabrizio Natalizia. But I'm not in the mood for Latakia. I'm generally not smoking it very much, every so often. And having said that, I've got stacks and stacks of special Latakia flake and not smoking it. But no doubt that will come back at an opportune moment. Good evening, Boris. How you doing? Anyway, so yeah, thinking about which cigar to go for. I think I'm still going to go for the Kidorsi, although I did want to do a video of it. But it's New Year, and I want to celebrate it with a, really with a decent cigar. Not to say that these aren't decent, and I really am kind of wanting to do this one, but I want to do a video of it as well. This is the Tiamo, which Mark sent me. Let me have another whiff. So what have you guys been doing for New Year's? Good evening, Nick. How you doing? A big temperature drop you're waiting for. Why? Have you been having hot weather at this time of year? Oh, this has a really toasty aroma. Whoa. I've not smelt that on a cigar. It's got a very, very dry, almost like peanuts kind of aroma. Any of you guys had this? This is a Tiamo World Selection Series Cuba blend. Any of you guys had this cigar? It's also a nice Vitola, a Robusto at least, or Robusto. And the Serio, which is a 5x50. Oh, I didn't realize it was a classic Robusto size. It's a 5x50. And I've been enjoying these. I really have. I've had the series, is it the G or R or something like that, which I didn't enjoy as much. But this one, I have to say, I've been enjoying it. I'm kind of tempted to buy a box of New World cigars from... Alright, James, have a good one. I'm kind of tempted to buy a box from smokingpipes.com. I haven't done it yet. I've been kind of focusing just on pipe tobacco, so I've been buying All It Golden Sliced and vanilla, not roll cake. I've been buying vanilla flake, but I did just buy. All right, James, good luck. I did just order maybe last week. I ordered a pound bag of vanilla roll cake, so that should keep me going for a good while. I do have several tins as well, the 100-gram tins, so I should be okay for a while. But I think that for tobacco that I'm smoking a lot of, it makes sense to buy the pound bags, and if they get through, you can just quickly build up a decent cellar of stuff that you're going to smoke. A lot of the tobacco that I buy, I'm not always going to smoke. Sometimes it's to save and to sort of collect. Maybe one day to smoke, maybe one day to sell or trade or something like that. But stuff which I'm smoking, which is unlikely to have any great value in the future, it just makes sense to buy pound bags, and just so you got it on hand. Who knows when a blend's going to go away. It seems to me that although McBaron have brought back the roll cakes, they've now got 3 vanillas. So they're going to have to, it wouldn't surprise me, not going to have to, don't have to do anything, but it wouldn't surprise me if at some point in the future they look at their numbers on the 3 blends and maybe one might drop out if it's not doing as well as the other 2. Hey, Daniel. And so you just have to kind of, if you've got blends that you like, regular blends that you might call your codger blends, it just makes sense to sell as deep as possible. It really does in this day and age. So the pound bags for me is a great option. I may well get a flake bag as well. They do them they also do Virginia No. 1. They do that, and they do some of the Latakias. What else did I see? But the pound bag is a great option. It just remains to be seen if it comes through. Sutliff has 20. Wow. I did try some of their not a Malta Dolce, but something it sounds like that. Something cream, something a famous one. The one John what's his name, likes smoking that, and the Professor Jeremiah smokes it. Hey George, how you doing? Happy New Year to you. What's it called? The one that Professor Jeremiah smokes a lot of. Vanilla custard. Thank you, Boris. So I tried that. I thought that I would like it, but it was no disrespect to you guys, but it was very American to me, and I don't like traditional American aromatics. They're just too alcohol-y, and they're too sort of metallic and artificial, and I don't get on with them. The aromatics that I like are the European. Creme brulee as well. I'm not sure if I've tried creme brulee. I think it was the vanilla custard. Amazing aroma. I mean, if you want to just buy that as aromatic potpourri for your living room, then fantastic. You know, just how that can get through customs, I don't know, but it's that one you could quite happily declare as potpourri and get away with it, I think. Chew nails and smoke vanilla custard. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But there's obviously a market for the American ones. I just find it really, really hard. I just, they don't work for me. There's no point forcing it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. Okay, Chip, fair enough. You got good taste. But there's such a stark difference between. Yeah, okay, Josh too. There's such a stark difference between the European aromatics and, I mean, are there any, like for instance, GLPs? I mean, to me, the GLPs blends that I've not used to be able to buy all it golden sliced in bulk, Daniel, but I haven't seen it in a while. You used to be able to buy big tubs, 8-ounce tubs, at least 8 ounce, if not more. But I know they did 8 ounce, but you don't see them anymore. The most you get, I think, is 100. If I could get it, I would. The big tubs. And I can only imagine how long the belts would be in those. Original choice of vanilla cream. Well, original choice I haven't tried. I may have tried it a long, long time ago, but I haven't tried it. In fact, when I've been abroad and I've looked on in duty free, the original choice is the one that you seem to see there, the one with the brown cardboardy kind of pouch looking thing. But I didn't buy it because I thought it was just like a cheap OTC. Because it was there in abundance and nothing else. So either it's good and it's so popular, that's why they have it, or it's just something cheap that they can make money on. I don't know. I did try it 4 years ago. Okay. It's very possible. I think somebody would have sent that to me as a sample. And one thing I've learnt, yeah, so the American aromatics have they have humescence in there, no doubt about that. I don't know if that's a regulatory thing from the FDA or not, but they have humescence in there, and they have sort of an alcohol-y, metallic kind of taste to them, to my palate. Hey Chad, he's been abroad. Abroad, is that what you're saying? Okay, I think Chad has had a bit of a sex change, and you now have to call him Z or Zad. We'll call him Zad from now on. All right, Zad? This is getting controversial. I better change the subject. Oh. So where was I? Yeah, so all it golden sliced. You used to be able to buy it in bulk, but not anymore. Zardism, not childism. Zardism. I got off track there. What was I in the middle of saying when Daniel asked me that question? Grumpus. You said it had a butterscotch aroma, quite virgin flavor. You didn't discovered the magical filters. No, that's true. Yeah. So there was quite a stark difference between the European aromatics. So I was asking C&D. Are there any C&D aromatics which are more European style? Because the C&D blends that I've tried, I haven't tried many. There's hundreds, but the ones that I've tried, their tobacco seems to be quite dry a lot of the time. Absence. Not have too many chemicals and stuff like that added to it. But I've only really had the sort of English style, not Latakia necessarily, but English style. In other words, natural tobacco is what seems to me to be natural, at least English in style. And I wonder if they're proper aromatics. Are they American style, or are they European style aromatics? So I've never really tried them. You have a lot of OGS waiting for you. Yeah. Autumn Evening, that's the one with maple, right? I think I do have that actually. But I found that to be also very, not as American as perhaps some other ones, but I found it to be kind of the same. Yeah, agreed. Amphora, I've said this many times. I think it's an underrated tobacco. It's made by McBaron, and you smoke the. I like the Virginia, the plain Virginia, the yellow pouch. I used to like the full aroma, the red pouch. I haven't tried the Kentucky. I haven't tried the other ones, the Burley. I've only tried the full aroma and the Virginia, and I think the Virginia is a great tobacco. It's smooth, it's sweet, it'll have McBaron's sort of little bit of casing on there. Wouldn't call it a topping, but a casing at least. That sugared water or maple water. Yeah, I mean, Amphora, yes, it depends. Sometimes it comes to you pretty dry. I might try that. Maybe try one of the other blends next time I do a smoking pipes order. I tended to buy them from in the days when the shipping was affordable with 4 noggin. I haven't tried the 7 Seas. I do want to. I think I have one tin in my cellar, and I don't remember which one it is. But since I read an article in an old pipe and tobacco magazine of the 7 Seas, I've been wanting to try them, but I just haven't got around to it. They're supposed to be a good quality aromatic, but I should do it. I really ought to do it. I'm going to read that article again. I don't remember which issue it is, but I'll read it again. By the way, Josh, have you still got those magazines for me? I'll be happy to pay for the shipping if you could send them over to me. I've read everything and reread all the magazines I've got. I must have about I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 of them, but they went for quite a number of years. So there must be loads that I don't have. I went through a period of buying the older magazines on eBay, so you paid a bit of a premium. I bought all of the ones that they had which were at a certain price. I never got them, Josh. I don't think I got them. Or did I get them? Am I making a mistake? I don't know if I got them. I'm not sure that I got them, Josh. I know they do the 7 Seas do a couple of vanilla blends as well. So I do want to try those. But I'm not desperate to do that. I've got enough, vanilla stuff which I'm enjoying. I think the McBarons are just fantastic. Yeah, I went through a period of buying the Cigar Aficionado magazine, but I gave up on them because I bought them for the cigar info. I enjoyed some of the other stuff that's in there, but they're unashamedly a lifestyle magazine, not just cigars anymore. Although the reviews and all of that, the ratings are all about cigars, but to me, it's not a cigar magazine anymore. It's a lifestyle magazine, and the cigars of the year, although they say that they're not in any way. All right, so don't worry about it, Josh. Maybe you did send them to me, or maybe they didn't arrive. I don't know. Maybe you did send them to me. I don't know. I'll have to look back. And maybe I did. I'll have to look back and see if I did a video on it, opening the pack. Maybe I did and forgot about it. If I did, then apologies. But the Cigar Aficionado, I've generally found to be quite surprised by the ratings, generally speaking. Pipe Club of London magazines, I've got a few. I mean, since I've joined, I've got those, but I don't have the ones from going back. I'd love to get old stuff if I could. I'm just happy to read anything. The Sahakians, you know, and the Fuchs, the problem that for me is it's really nice to watch that stuff, but they're on a level which I can't reach. You know, they're smoking cigars which cost hundreds of pounds each one, and I can't experience that. I can't afford those kind of cigars. I mean, they're smoking reservas. They're smoking regular ones as well, but they're smoking cigars which, most of the time, which are really way too expensive for me. I'm not saying that the ratings are fixed. I'm just saying that some of the stuff which they say just doesn't make any sense to me. But, you know, we've all got different tastes and different preferences and different palates. So for me to say that they're wrong is ridiculous. You know, according to the way they do it, it doesn't seem to resonate with me. I mean, the cigars of the year. Yeah, I mean, they say that it's not connected to the advertising. I guess they'd have to say that, but would they lie outright? I don't know. Maybe I'm gullible. I don't know. But the cigars of the year, to me, I mean, the one that I bought a box on the strength of it, which I basically thought to myself that however bad it is, if it makes it to the cigar of the year, it's got to at least be smokable, you know. And I bought a box of 10 of the 20, I think it was the 2019 one, the Carrillo one. I can't remember the name of it. I've smoked through the box. I think I've got 2 left. A box of 10. I think I've got 2 left, and they're reasonable cigars. But cigar of the year, I don't understand why it got up there. I don't understand their ratings. I don't understand. Also, what I find surprising, but that's just the way they do it, is that, I mean, when I do a video, I rate it out of 10, which most of us can relate to. When they do it out of 100, and you rarely do you get a cigar which is under 80s, you know, somewhere between 70 and 80. You don't get any lower than that. So what is the rate? What are the ratings between 1 and 60? What are they for? So I don't quite understand how that works. But that's just my ignorance, I guess. I suppose there is an understanding, a universal understanding of that, because lots of channels rate them out of 100. North Carolina Pipe Cottage. No, I haven't heard of that. I can't check it now because I've only got this screen here at the moment. Hang on, do I have my other phone here? I thought I bought my other phone. Maybe not. I know I bought my other phone because my kids were using it in the car on the journey. So where is it? Oh, I know where it is. It's on top of the fridge. Oh, well, it's inside. I'm not going to get it now. I haven't lit up my cigar. What's the time? 12:25. Old Carolina Pipe Cottage. Okay, cool, Josh. Sorry about that. I'm sorry for getting you worried. You know what my memory's like. $19.95 onwards. What was that, Ian? Oh, the magazines that you've got. Hi, Tony. Happy New Year, Rhode Island. Just going through some of the messages. Yeah, I mean, going back to the question about the Sahakians, no, they don't have a YouTube channel, as far as I know. Maybe they do, I don't know. But if they do, they don't post much on it. They do have Eddie, the son. He does have a Instagram feed. I did have a sit down with Eddie once at the Bulgari Hotel. They have a cigar bar in the Bulgari, and I guess it would be nice to sit down with them and have a smoke with them one day. I hope they haven't seen, because I have sometimes said that I'm not a great fan of Davidoff cigars. That I might have shot myself in the foot there, although I am discovering some which I really do enjoy. So maybe I need to push them a little bit. Yeah, Kirby Allison is one of their very, very good friends. You know, I think he would love to be English, judging by the way he dresses and his love for all things London. I think he would love to be English. But he's a very classy guy. He comes across as very classy, Allison. Big into his clothes and his cigars. He's very, very friendly with the Sahakians. Maybe I'll head over to the Bulgari again in the new year and try to catch Eddie and maybe do a video. That would be really nice. With Edward, the father, would be amazing to be able to share a cigar with him. But you know, he's been recorded so many times. I don't know. Oh wow, Ian! If you're looking to get rid of them, I would definitely gratefully accept them. That would be extremely, extremely generous of you. If you drop me an email, then we'll work something out. The Sahakians have cigars going back way, way back before Castro, I think. You know, before the revolution. They've got pre-revolution cigars. So I mean, they've got Davidoffs, which were made in Cuba. They've got stuff which is worth their cellar that they've got down there. He must have cigars worth millions, literally millions. You know, I have said in the past that I find that their prices are expensive, but in reality, you know, the more I think about it, the more I have to give them credit, because at the end of the day, if they're putting away cigars, obviously they've got to have the wherewithal to do it financially, but they're putting away stuff for many years, and that's money that they can't get back until they bring them back out, and that's a big investment, you know. And if they've tied up that amount of money in cigars, then they're entitled to charge for it. So, but you do see some prices are a bit touristy, because they do get the tourist market, the Chinese market. But I'll tell you something else. Some lines just attract huge figures. The Cohiba Robusta Supremos from 2016, 2014, is it? Maybe 2016, I forget. Hey Cascadian and Donald, how you doing? You know, the Robusta Supremos is an amazing cigar, but they're selling for like £300 for a single cigar. And I saw them recently on GQ Tobacco's website, and he's known to be very reasonable. He was selling them for about £250. You can still buy them for a single cigar. I had a few boxes of those, and I sold them before my daughter's wedding. I've told you this many times. That money went towards the cost of my daughter's wedding. I made very, very minimal profit. I paid £400 for each box of 10, so they were £40 per cigar, and I sold them for about £700, £650, £700 a box. Now those boxes are worth £2,500. It's just the way it is. It's life. I wasn't in a position to sit on them, so there you go. It's like that with everything. If people who have real estate, I've got an uncle who's big into real estate, and when I was a kid, I used to go just riding around, and he used to say, I used to own that, I used to own that, I used to own that. And he said, if I would have only kept that property, I'd be a millionaire today. It so happens that he is a wealthy guy today, but he still made it. But it's the way it goes. If you've got pockets deep enough to be able to sit on stuff, then you know, that's the difference between the wealthy and the not so wealthy. A lot of the time, it's gambling. You know, you got to have the kahunas to sit on stuff. You got to be able to sort of last out with the banks. And that's what happens when people go bust during financial downturns, is because they've mortgaged up to the hilt, and they may be, you know, 95% of the cost of the property is mortgaged. Values go down a little bit, you know, say the value decreases by 10%, they're 5% in the red. The banks get nervous, they haul in the loan, and if you can't pay it, or if you can't show that you can make it through, they take the property back. You're screwed. And it's those people who can hold on, and those people who have got the wherewithal to hold on, those are the people who make it and become even bigger. You know, and they'll buy up. Hey Slippy, they will buy up stuff which has been repossessed by the banks. You know, they'll buy it cheaper because the banks want to get rid of it. They want to get some of their money back. And as I say, the big guys get bigger, the small guys get smaller. That's just the way it is. It's the way of the world. All right, let me light up this poxy cigar. Talking about it and not lighting it. It's a bit of a fat fella. 54 ring gauge. It's got a great aroma. Really good aroma. There's some sweetness there, some cedar. A little bit of fruit. Don't usually get that on a Cuban cigar. Got a really nice, musty, rich, tangy aroma on the wrapper. Very nice. You can't see this very well because of the lighting, but it's a lovely cigar. It's beautiful to look at. I did want to do an impressions video, but maybe I'll get another one at some point. This has been in my humidor for a few weeks since Mark sent it to me, and it's been looking at me and saying smoke me for quite a while. But I think it's had enough of a rest now, and it's time to do its job and to become. As soon as I find out what I did with my cutter, we'll be able to get moving. Here we go. Try not to make a mess all over the car. It's a Kilo Say 54 ring gauge. Fireworks still firing off here for New Year's. Heard them last night. Oh, well, there you go, Donald. Sometimes Lady Luck is on your side. It feels like the draw ought to be absolutely fine. I hope I won't be wrong. So I'm currently in a really nice Volvo, which my son lent me. He's in the car insurance business, and he has a small fleet of cars which he gives out to customers when they're making a claim. So he let me use this. My car is a bit iffy at the moment, so it was very generous of him to let me use it. A small loss is definitely better than a total loss, for sure. If you've got the brains to get out in time, then that's great. It won't be my new car, it's much too expensive. It's a Volvo XC60 turbo diesel. Goes very fast. Auto everything, lots of screens here, and everything's digital. All the latest gubbins. Some of it is too much of a pain, but my biggest problem is the seats. This is an R version of the car, which means that it's a sports model, and it's got bucket seats, and the seats turn up just under your knee, and it's kind of pushing up the whole time. And when you're used to just regular seats, cushion seats, material, not leather, it's kind of forcing up my leg the whole time, and it's just doing in my muscles just behind my knee, and I'm really not enjoying it. But other than that, it's a very advanced car. The only soft flame that I have here at the moment is Zippo, which I don't want to use for a cigar. So otherwise I would light it with a soft flame. Why can't I turn off this parking climate, main climate? Why can't I tell it to... There we go. I'm trying to push the smoke to the back of the car where I have the window open, but it's not doing it. I can't figure it out. Alright, let's see if that works. I need the millennial, you're right. I don't think this car's connected to Alexa, sadly. It does have a facility to connect and do Apple, whatever it's called, AirPlay or whatever. But I didn't bother because I knew life would just get a little bit more complicated if I did that. You've had this one? Cool. I'll let you know if it's good. It's a little bit floral at the beginning. The key says that I've had till now. I've had the 50 ring gauge. I'm trying to remember if I've had the limited edition one, the Edición Limitada. I might have that in my humidor, or I've already smoked it, I don't recall. I think 2018 they did a Kidor say, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that. Daniel, if I could afford a new car, I'd get a new car. I can't afford a new car, so I won't get a new car. I don't lease cars, I don't believe in it. So I buy what I can afford. It's as simple as that. I'm thinking of, when I can, to get a Toyota RAV4, possibly. Something like that. I like something which is a little bit higher on the road. Something along those lines, Honda CR-V maybe, but I think I prefer a Toyota RAV4. But we shall see. I'm not in the market for a new car anyway. My Mazda is working fine. I don't drive that much anymore, so even though it's difficult to get in and out for me, once I'm sat in the car, I enjoy riding it, so I'm not in any kind of rush. The electrics on it are a bit iffy, I will say that. It has got some quirks. And I was just speaking to my so I've got kind of a minivan. My wife has a kind of a minivan at the moment, which is a Toyota Previa, which is a 7-seater, and it's high on the road. It's a delight to drive. You just point and shoot, and it's nice and high up. It's comfortable. You step into it rather than have to crouch down into it. which is what I want to do. At the moment it's quite floral, which I don't really like in a cigar. I don't mind a certain floral like the H. Upmann's. That's got a more of a bouquet to it, but it's a bouquet that I like. This has at the moment, it's got like a Lakelandy kind of aroma to it, which I really don't like. And my gut feeling is this, if it carries on throughout the cigar, is that it's been influenced by pipe tobacco. That's my gut feeling. We'll see if it settles down. At the moment it's not tasting right. Perfumey, yeah. But yeah, so the Mazda 6 is what I've got, and it does have its quirks. The windows, you have windows which you can open the windows with a button, and then you have one touch. You push the button a little bit further, and the window goes down in one shot. So it's supposed to do that, but it kind of jumps from doing it to not doing it when the fancy takes it. And now on my driver's door, the remote central locking opens all the doors except my door. So the motor in my door is gone. So I've got to open my door with a key. And that's a bit of a pain, but you know what? It's just like one of those life's luxuries we've become so used to that it's an effort to put a key in the door. So I've kind of been telling myself, stop being such an idiot and put the key in the door and don't be such a spoiled brat. But one day, I've kind of got a half mind. She's got a CERV. I've knocked my head on the door frame, getting into it several times. Nearly knocked myself out. Oh no. Yeah, no. So that wouldn't do. This is a high car, and I also have to crouch to get in because the bars here are just. It's really quite low. Hey Paul, how you doing? I do enjoy driving a manual, especially on a Honda where it's very easy. I've driven manual for many years, but nowadays I can't be bothered for it. I enjoy driving it and having a quick sort of burst for 5-10 minutes and enjoy the whole thing of changing gear and all of that kind of stuff. I love that, but when you're sitting in traffic, it's horrible. Yeah, so the Mazda. So I was talking to my uncle. My uncle likes classic cars. This guy that I was talking about before with the real estate. So he has a couple of classic cars, and I'm really into classic cars as well. I buy the magazines and I love reading the magazines. But again, it's something which it's a lifestyle thing. You have to be able to afford it. They're expensive to maintain, to buy old parts and stuff like that. I love watching the American shows on the car, like Rust Valley, is it called? Love watching that program. And Fielding House, that guy, what's his called? His show. Loved watching that. What's this one called? What's the name? Something West Coast. Is it West Coast? West Coast Customs. I love that. I'd love to do that to a car. I'd love to do that to a minivan. Just do something crazy inside. I love all that kind of stuff. So I was thinking with my Mazda, just to hold on to it. Hold on to it for 20 years and let it become a classic. Because it's a lovely car. It's got relatively low mileage for its age. It's got 72,000 miles on the clock. It drives like a young car. It's pretty tight. The suspension is tight and everything is good. Just the electrics are a bit funny sometimes. So I've kind of been thinking of doing something like that, maybe just holding onto the Mazda. The problem is that now, even if I wanted to use it as a part exchange with another car, there's no value in it anymore. I overpaid for it when I bought it because of the low mileage, and I bought it because I was in a bit of a pickle at the time. I bought it on vacation when one of my cars was playing up, and so I overpaid, but the real value is probably a third of what I paid for it. So unless I, had the money and I really found the ideal car that I want, say like a RAV4 with low mileage, then I would have to take the hit. But part of me wants to maybe just sit on it and wait till it becomes a classic. But that's a long, long time. The thing is with classic cars is that value is irrelevant. Yeah, I guess, Bob, the handle should have given us a clue. Well, back in the day, my dad used to have a Ford Cortina, which is a bog standard British car. It doesn't exist anymore, but my dad used to get, every 2 years, he used to change it, because he did quite a bit of motorway driving in his younger years. He would get a Ford Cortina estate, and he would change it every 2 years for a 2-year-old model. So he never bought new. He would buy a 2-year-old model every 2 years. So by the time he changed it, the one he had was 4 years old. He'd part exchange it. Usually went to the same guy. They build up a relationship. And I think the last one he got was a Ford Cortina Carousel, which had a little bit of extras. In those days, extras might have meant a clock, because you didn't used to get a clock in the car. Here in the UK, things like power steering, air conditioning, and all of that was all relatively recent. You never got that in the average car. You never got that. You guys have had it for a long time compared to us. Electric windows, central locking, all of that stuff came much, much later here in the UK. You only got it in the very, very highest sort of range cars. I think Rolls-Royce, maybe in one of their highest sort of range cars, they had electric windows in the late 50s. That's about the earliest that they got it. But average cars probably only started to get them in around the 80s. You had them before, but only in the highest end cars. But around the 80s, late 80s, it started to become more standard to get central locking electric windows and stuff like that. No, I've never driven a supercar. No, I'm trying to think. The most expensive car that I've driven is a Bentley, the recent one, the 4x4. What is it called? A Bendigo or something like that. So again, through my son, because he's in the trade, so he had his ex-boss. He doesn't work for him anymore. He now works for himself with a partner. But he used to work for a guy who was big in that sort of insurance trade, and that guy has a Bentley, and I drove that for a few minutes. I wasn't that impressed. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, for sure, it's a Bentley, a lovely car, but it didn't really blow me away. A self-driving Jaguar. Well, do you have to be there, or it just goes off on its own? It reminds me of a Billy Connolly joke. Yeah, I've got an automatic car. It's automatic, but I gotta be there. I can't do his accent very well. Yeah. Tesla is not big into electric cars. They just do electric cars. That's all they do. I've got to say this cigar's not working for me. I'm going to carry on, but it's not working for me. You have to keep drawing on it to keep it going. The construction is not working. I might have to just touch it up a little bit. I was in a high-end Range Rover the other night. My son's friend gave me a lift to come and pick up this car, and wow, that thing has some push, some pull, whatever you want to call it. It's got some welly, is what I'm saying. Put his foot down, and that thing went like a rocket. It's built like a tank. It's a big Range Rover, you know, one of the big ones, and it went like a rocket. I mean, to motor along with that kind of weight of a car, that engine had to be something pretty amazing. Also a turbo diesel, I think. It's interesting to see the cars that make the money nowadays. The ones which make the classic cars which are really good money. I'm not talking about the really high-end stuff like E-Type Jags and the Aston Martin DB2s and DB3s, DB4s. Those ones are making big money. You know, early Ferraris or the Cobras or the Shelbys, these kind of things. I'm not talking about those. But just here in the UK, for instance, a Ford Capri or a Ford Escort, which were very, very run-of-the-mill cars. The Capri was basically a basic car, but it was a two-door, sporty-looking car, but there was nothing, unless you got the sort of the RS versions or, you know, the really sporty versions. It was a basic chassis, you know, and it was just had a sporty-shaped car. The body was sporty-shaped, but nowadays they make big money. I used to really fancy having a Capri. I remember them when they were still in production. A mate of mine had a Capri. A mate of mine. He's in his probably mid to late 60s now. But he had a Ford Capri when I was a kid. And I remember one time he had a dent on the boot on the trunk. And I said to him, "Why don't you just get a spoiler put on it?" And he thought, "Yeah, that's a good idea." I don't think he ever did it. But I loved the Ford Capri. I used to fantasize about living in a Ford Capri and sort of going to sleep, just put the seat down and making it my home. You know, as a kid, I used to fantasize about that. Hey Robert, how you doing? You see all sorts here, Daniel. I wouldn't be able to say which ones are the most popular, but BMWs are still very popular. Mercedes are popular. I think Audis have had a very, very big resurgence in the last decade, and they're putting out some really, really nice cars. Yeah, me too, George. I would love to get one of those really rounded Jaguars. They're gorgeous. I mean, they kind of brought that back in about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I don't know the model numbers. I'm not that into it, but they brought those back for a while, and they did a modern version of it, and it actually looked pretty good. But the chassis of those, from what I'm aware, they're just regular Ford chassis. So they're a luxury car. You're paying for the interior and the engine, but the actual chassis of the car, so the handling and all that kind of thing, I don't know if they're really all that. Well, here the Audi is doing very well. The Audi is doing very well. I don't know. If you look at the classic car magazines, these cars come up for sale. The ones that were used in the films and stuff like that, you do see them, and some of those go for $500,000, $1 million. The DB, I'm not sure if it's the DB2 or the DB3, but one of them is so rare, and it routinely goes for £500,000, and that's $750,000, $700,000. That's a lot of money. I think recently in an auction there was a world record of a car, went for something like 20 million. I don't remember which one it was. If it was maybe a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, I don't remember. Volvos, yeah. The Volvos here, yeah. Volvos are doing very well as well. It's very popular, the Volvo. It's the safety of the car makes it very popular. They've got this reputation for safety. I don't know if they're any more safe than other cars nowadays, because nowadays, technology being what it is, I'm sure that an Audi is going to be pretty safe. I don't know. They seem to always try to one-up when it comes to safety, the Volvos. That's their thing. So I guess they're always innovating to increase the safety of their cars. My second son bought a Mini Cooper last week. I drove it. Also got some welly. I like the Mini Cooper for two reasons. Number one, it's a classic. Even new one is a classic. It's just got this cult kind of following from the films, probably. They're just fantastic little cars. But interestingly, I'm a big guy. I fit in a Mini Cooper, no problem. They've got a huge throw on the seats. You can go way, way back on the seats. Okay, the guy behind's not going to have any legroom. Fine. They're not made to have... They can take 4 passengers, but that's not what they're designed for. They're a nippy little car, which you're really close to the ground. Center of gravity is awesome. Yeah, they are small for a big guy, but I fit in them. I drove it around. I didn't like the gearbox. Gearbox was very, very stiff, very clunky. For me, the best gearboxes on the market are Honda gearboxes for manual. There was a manual gearbox. It's a Mini Cooper. A Mini Cooper something or other. I don't know what the initial is on it. But a really nice little car. It's not the most tidy model there is, but he didn't pay a lot of money for it. It's an 06, I think, or an 07, and he paid 1,600 quid for it. The headspace was fine. You've got the VW Beetle, or a modern one or an old one. Actually, I think that when the modern VW Beetle came out, it's one of the best designed cars which harks back to an old model that I've ever seen. It so captured the heart of the original Beetle, but in an updated modern design. I thought it was phenomenal. It just did it so well. Tim, the one with the wood frame, is that the one you're talking about, Tim? I love that. Oh yeah, the modern Minis are the Countryman is a high up. It's the size of a car, a regular car almost. Yeah, but that's almost a 20-year-old car. Don't forget, if it's an 06 or an 07, 15, 16 years old. That's cool. But that Mini, if it's looked after, I told my son that if he looks after it and slowly tidies it up, he's got a classic car on his hands. Those Citroens, George, they're worth a fortune. In mint condition, in concours condition, they're worth 60, 70, 80,000 pounds. You can sell them for good money. In concours condition, because they're so iconic and so unusual, and they've got that whole thing with the suspension going on. Way before the who is it? The Puerto Ricans or the Mexicans? Who is it that drives around with those jumping cars? The hydraulics, yeah, it's the Mexicans, is it? I just thought it was the result of eating tacos that things were jumping up and down. You know what I mean? Getting a bit of backlift, you know? Yeah, it's a whole world, cars. There's so many different angles that you could be sort of specializing in. But definitely, if I had that kind of disposable income, I would have a classic car, without a doubt. I struggle to decide which one it would be, though. There's so many that I could enjoy. But I think that I would want kind of a medium-age classic. I don't want a very old classic. I want a classic that's still got enough luxuries, but it's still called a classic. So I'd still want power steering, although power steering goes back quite a way. But I'd want power steering and decent. Okay, leather definitely goes back a long way. That's the old as the hills. But I would definitely want power steering. Windows doesn't bother me, but I would want air conditioning because when it gets really hot, I don't like it. So there you go. Yeah, hybrids. There's a lot to talk, to praise about hybrids. Because one of the other cars, which besides for the RAV4, which nowadays you can get as a hybrid, but those are too new, so they cost too much money. But the Lexus, the RXs, you know, the 400s, the 300s, those have been hybrids for quite some time. The problem with that is that the batteries are kind of getting to the end of their life, and you might as well throw away the car if you have to replace the batteries. But I quite like the idea of getting one of those, perhaps. But a RAV4 is kind of going to be more affordable. It's a lower end. I mean, the Lexus is made by Toyota. Yeah, you do have the things, the ULEZ, which is the ultra low emission zones around London especially, and some other city centres, but I'm not sure that it applies to classic cars. Because if you get a classic car, you can register it as a classic car, as a heritage car, and then I think you don't have to pay road tax, possibly, and I think you also don't have to do MOTs after a certain age. Well, if you want to be a criminal, yeah, for sure, you can enter into a convertible. Oh, really? You don't have to have a seatbelt either? You don't have to retrofit the seatbelt? The one thing which is very common is that you don't have headrests. In the older cars, there's no headrest. I would actually be worried about that, because I think a headrest is actually a very necessary thing against whiplash and stuff like that. I think that's actually a really, really important innovation. And I guess seatbelts too. You know, nowadays it's become the norm. All right, Slippy, have a good one. Honda Pilot, yeah, it's not the same here in the UK. It would be called something else. The Hondas, there used to be a model called the Honda Shuttle, which was a 7-seater. I'm not looking for a 7-seater. It's my wife that uses the 7-seater because she does the kids, ferrying them to school. But I'm just looking for I don't need. I can have a regular amount of seats, 5 seats. But I just want it to be high up on the road, so I can step into the car. All right, Tim, have a good one. motorcycles don't have seatbelts. No, they don't. If you're still on, Chad, I'll see that later. I've seen it come up on my screen, but I can't go off this screen because it will halt the stream. But unless it's something that is urgent. Happy New Year, Tree. How are you? Okay, Chad. Cheers. So I did say before that I was going to talk about what January is going to bring for LCS Briars. I was having a long chat with Mike earlier on this evening, one of my gurus, and we were talking about evolution of LCS Briars, and he's set me a challenge. I hope he doesn't mind me talking about it. He set me a challenge for the month of January, only, besides for commissions, but other than commissions, only doing classic shapes. So billiards, Levats, Dublins, just classic shapes, whether 9mm or non 9mm, just classic shapes. So I agreed. I've taken up the cudgel and I've said I will do that. So that's what you're going to see now for the next month. It's just classic shapes. Hey Alex. So he's also given me a bunch of other tips, which he has mentioned some of them before as well, things which I ought to incorporate in my pipe making to just up the game a little bit, which I will endeavour to do. And I've said this many times before. I'm very, very grateful to a bunch of people out there who quite clearly care about my progress and want to see my game improving. I don't always listen, I know that. Lumbermans, yeah. You know, if anybody wants to commission a classic shape, that would be even better. But otherwise, the ones which are going off the table, which are not commissions, will be... I do have commissions that I need to do, but perhaps I'll space them out. So as long as the customers are okay with that, I try to do commissions fairly straight away so that I don't build up a long list. I don't like that. It's a pressure for me to know that people are waiting. So I like to get pipes done. Yeah, so there are people out there who... I haven't made a reverse calabash, no. I don't consider that a classic shape, personally. But I would happily do one for a commission. I haven't made one yet, but the principles are not things that... It's not something which can't be done. It's a fairly straightforward concept. So it's just about different sizes. You know, bigger mortise, bigger tenon, essentially. So yeah, that would be a fun thing to do, but that's not going to be included in this month's project unless it's somebody commissions one. Thank you, George. I appreciate that. Yeah, so what Michael was saying is that a lot of the time I make pipes that I would like to buy, and that's a good motivation. And he said most pipe makers do that. But ultimately, if you're making pipes for a living, if you're virtually doing them full time, you've got to sort of cater for a wider group of people. And classic shapes sell the most. Billiards ultimately is the biggest selling shape that there is, I guess. I would imagine it accounts for a fair chunk of the market. I've done quite a few Lovats recently. I think they went very, very well. So it would be interesting to see how January goes. I've done a pickaxe. I've done more than one pickaxe, but again, I wouldn't call that a classic shape. I've done a couple of oompools as well, but I've only done them with 9 mils, and that's very challenging. Well, I can't help you with that, Alex, because I didn't set mine up. My son did it for me. Smooth, simple churchwarden. I've done church wardens, but I wouldn't have to say I've done it in a classic shape. So I hear what you're saying. So like a basic Dublin or a billiard church warden, I don't think I have done. The church wardens that I've done have tended to be freehands, Dublin shapes, but freehands, or free forms, I should say. I don't know about meerschaum. It's not so easy to get meerschaum blocks now, but I've never worked on a meerschaum pipe, on a meerschaum block, so I couldn't answer that question until I try it. I don't know. So as I was saying before, it's really heartwarming that to hear that there are people out there who are rooting for you. As much as it's not nice to hear that people aren't rooting for you, which I get as well. Yeah, I know they can't export it. They can only export it as pipes nowadays, as finished product. But you do see it from time to time, meerschaum blocks. There was a time when I saw the odd supplier with some meerschaum blocks, but I don't really have an interest in it. Hi Gray, how you doing? Happy New Year to you. I think I want to focus on Briar and keep focusing on Briar. Yes, I could do a bit of. I did in my last order. I ordered 2 blocks of olive wood, just for the crack of it, to see what it's like. It didn't used to be the case, George, but recently it's become the case that they can't do it. They can't export the raw product, the raw meerschaum. The combustion of this is better now, as you can see by all the smoke. No clay, no George. I mean, clay pipes, you've got to have a setup for that. You've got to have molds for that, and that's quite a specific niche kind of process. The way they make a clay pipe is they've got metal molds which they fill with clay, and then they put a wire through it, and that's the draft hole. It's a specialized area which unless you're going to start hand molding a clay pipe, I'm not doing that. That's not my thing. So so people like Phil, Mike, Glenn, these guys have really spent a lot of time giving me advice, and I know I don't always listen to everything that they say to me, but I do my best to incorporate as much of it as I can. And sometimes you get into your own process and you just don't want to take on something new, even though it might be good for you to do it and it might improve your game. Sometimes you just don't want to. You're in your zone and you want to carry on. Sometimes it's laziness. I freely admit that I'm lazy. We all are by nature, I think. And you want an easy life. So anyway, so Mike and I were talking anyway, so he gave me a few different sort of pointers of certain processes which I'll be incorporating over the next month as well. Yeah, so that's going to be classic January. January is going to be a month of classics. That's me, Phil. That's me. I'm a human, and I'm designed to take the path of least resistance. You got me. Yeah, I have had some offers from US shops, from tobacconists, but I haven't taken it up. I mean, the cut that they wanted was just too big. I had a very well-known pipe shop in the US contacted me, but they wanted the pipes for 50%, and I'm just not at a stage that I can do that. But I will in I think the fullness of time. I keep saying that I'm going to do it, and I don't end doing it because the pipes sell. But I keep saying that I'm going to send some to Mike. I'm sure in the not too distant future that will happen. They'll be on his website. You know, it's always a bit of a catch-22 situation. You know, on the one hand, it's good to get your pipes out there so that they get seen by the rest of the world. On the other hand, when you're trying to make a living, you're trying to put food on the table, pay the mortgage. You know, there's a lot of pipe makers out there who do it part-time, and they don't rely on it for their income. Nowadays, I'm increasingly doing that, and I need to sell the pipes. So for me to make a batch of, say, 15 or 20 pipes, send them across the States, wait till I get the money, 50% of what I normally charge. If my pipes are selling, it's really hard for me to justify that, you know. And yes, some of my pipes take time, but invariably, eventually they all sell. So it's hard for me to take a 50% knock. Yeah, exactly, Phil. And for me here in the UK, the shipping, the delay, you know, all of that is even harder for me to do that than for you to do it in the States. Although I know you used to send some stuff to GQ in the old days with Glyn. If you have a look on GQ's website, I think they've still got one heading with your pipe. They don't have any of your pipes in it. He had one of your metal pipes for a long time. I don't know if he still has. Yeah, Daniel, that's the double-edged sword. I don't know. You know, the exposure might be worthwhile, but for me to send just 2 or 3 pipes is not worth, because let's say they sell them and they're going to be want more pipes. At 50%, you know, I don't know. I can't make money on it. You know, I barely scrape through at the moment. You know, materials are getting more expensive, and just importing the stuff is costing me much more money these days. I get hit by customs all the time now. It's not like it used to be where it was hit and miss. You know, most of them got through, and every so often, you every so often you'd pay tax on a package. But nowadays, when I'm buying in Briar, the majority of the boxes get caught. I don't know if it's a majority, but certainly a higher percentage, and it's costing a lot of money. You know, the last time I got quite a big order was £500 order. I paid about £280 in tax. And that's you know, I don't even think about it I don't factor it in. I just take it on board as an expense, but I don't factor it in when I price up my pipes. I price up my pipes according to what they're going to sell for. So my the cost, the increase in cost, to me, I can't improve on when it comes to the pricing of the pipes. I can only price the pipes what the market will bear. So the fact that it costs me more is irrelevant. So I'm making less money. So for me to send a pipe out and take 50% of it, it's just too much. Volume sales, if I'm a factory and I can produce 50 pipes a day, then yeah. But if I'm producing on average a pipe a day or a pipe and a half a day, and I need that money to live on, then I can't work for 2 weeks to produce enough to send across to some shop and then not see any money until those are sold, if that's the arrangement, or if they buy it outright and I'm only getting 50%. I can't live on that. It's just not, that just doesn't work. The numbers don't work. Mike is one of the only guys who gives very favourable numbers, so the carver doesn't lose out, and that's because Mike that's not his living. He doesn't rely on it. I mean, a lot of his work that he does is obviously it's something he enjoys, and yes, of course, he makes some money from it. He's not doing it for nothing, but he also is just, he loves supporting pipe carvers, and he's just he understands pipe makers. He understands where they're coming from, and it doesn't hurt him because he doesn't need that income. So it makes a big difference. Yeah, 100%, Phil. I do get that. I really want to. What I'm really aiming for is to cover both markets. There's a market for. There's a market for, I would say between the $100 and $200 market, and then there's a market of $300-400 and up. And I'd like to somehow shoot for both, because I don't want to lose the $100 to $200 market, but I also want to get into the $400, $500, $600 market as well, and beyond. So I'm going to be structuring what I do so that I can do that, and that will sort of pan out more over the next year. That direction will become a lot clearer. Yeah, exactly, Phil. Yeah. There's lots of pipe makers coming up through the ranks, and each and every one of them have got their own sort of thing to bring to the market, and I hope each one does well. So you have to make sure that you're providing something unique, if not unique, but at least a style which people like and people want. And I'm still sort of, excuse the pun, carving that out. If you go to my website and you click the gallery button, you go from top to bottom, you'll see a huge diverse range of pipes. You might be able to see a thread there, a certain style. I myself don't fully see it, although plenty of customers now tell me that they do see a certain style. I'm not sure what mine is. There are certain elements, process elements, which I see are common in all of my pipes, yes. But to say that, if you were to go to a pipe show and see my pipes on a table, would you be able to say those are LCS prize pipes? I don't know. I mean, that's the holy grail, isn't it, for a pipe maker? All right, Phil, enjoy your bath. You can buy bowls. You can certainly do that. I think Dunhill have done that in the past, or so people claim. Happy New Year, Phil. To be honest, I think this cigar is just too young. There are some nice flavors there. It's a bit clouded by the fact that I'm drinking coffee as well, which I shouldn't really be doing. I don't have any decaf in this house, so I'm drinking regular coffee. So, not very clever at 1:30 in the morning. Or smoking a cigar, which is a stimulant as well. So getting to sleep should be fun. Yeah, Paul, that is certainly an aspect of my pipe making which is different to other pipe makers. You can watch me making the pipes. That's true, but that doesn't make the pipes better pipes. That just makes it interesting for you guys that are watching. But it doesn't mean that they're good pipes. Four mil is not unique anymore. Mine are actually more. Mine are 4.5 mil when they're 9 mil, and they're 4 mil when they're not 9 mil. And I'm going to be doing also more non-filtered pipes. I've yet to see whether it means more sales. I haven't seen that so far, but I will be doing that. All right, Bob, have a good one. Yeah, you could think that I don't sleep. That's true. Yeah, George, purging a cigar is very, very simple. Every 4 to 5 draws on the pipe, instead of drawing in, blow out. So just blow through. So the smoke comes out the end. Just blow through for 3 or 4 seconds. And what that does is it just pushes out the spent smoke that's gone through the cigar, pushes it in that direction instead of that direction. And it just refreshes the flavors. And I've trained myself that I do it automatically. So almost every puff, I do one in and one out, and it just keeps it fresh. Well, maybe not every single, but certainly very regularly. Every 3 or 4 draws, I'll give it a quick purge. I had, in the beginning when I started smoking cigars for the first year or two, a lot of you will remember I used to put sellotape around the top, because every single cigar I smoked turned bitter, and that's because I just didn't know how to smoke a cigar well. So when I started purging, it made a big difference, and I stopped using the tape. And also, training myself not to let the head get too wet. Yeah, I'm saying if you purge the cigar throughout the smoke, then even when you get to the nub, it should be smokable. Some cigars will turn ashy, and that's it. Nothing you can do about it. When it comes to the end, it's a little bit optimistic to expect it to smoke great, and then in the last inch. At the end of the day, even if you purge it, you've still, at the end of the day, had the whole length of the cigar going through the head. So some cigars will be great, and some will just be done. And when it's done, it's done. You just get rid of it. But if you purge it regularly, you've got a better chance of it lasting longer. And when you get to the end, it's going to be hot. It's going to want to go out. All those things you got to handle, and you just have to decide whether it's worth carrying on or not. A lot of times, I'll just put it into a pipe and smoke it that way, and then you avoid the heat, and you just carry on smoking as long as it's enjoyable. There's no point forcing it. Yeah, you can purge a pipe that way too, Daniel. Quite right. It's the same principle. If you're smoking a pipe, especially if it's a deep pipe, a big bowl, you smoke through it, you're putting through smoke through the tobacco that's on the lower level of the pipe. That tobacco is getting coated with carbon, with all the spent juices and all the stuff that's, the moisture that's created through the heat. And it's definitely gonna make that second half deteriorate, which is why I never fill my pipe, although it's filled when I fill it, but it's so lightly filled that after the first 2 or 3 tamps, it's down to half. And that's how I smoke, because I don't want to have to smoke through all of that. I'd rather have 2 half bowls than 1 full bowl. What's the easiest pipe shape to make? Well, strictly speaking, the easiest is probably a freehand, because you can do what you want. And people would argue that a billiard, that the simplest pipe shapes are actually the hardest, if you're going to stick to parameters, classic pipe parameters. I think, being now over 3 years into pipe making, I wouldn't say one shape is easier than the other. There are some which are harder for sure, diamond shanks, shapes where it's difficult to get into nooks and crannies for sanding and stuff like that. Diamond shanks, bulldogs, that kind of thing is definitely harder. Hey Jeremy, welcome aboard. Is that WV or VV or VW? What is that on your handle? Uh-huh. The poker, I don't know if that's the hardest shape really. The poker's a billiard, isn't it? It's a billiard which goes down straight down to the base, and so that bottom section is harder, because usually, unless you're going to spin it on the lathe and turn that as well, but otherwise, getting that bottom section round and looking like a perfect cylinder, that can be harder. But when you're shaping it, you've got the rest of the pipe to guide you. So you follow the line of the first half, which you've done on the lathe, and you do your best to follow that line. It's not always so easy, but it's doable. But certainly, if you can do it on the chuck and just spin it round and keep the axes, then that's going to be a much more perfect way of doing it. Pencil shanks. Yeah, I mean, that's... It's a certain style, if you like that. I'm not sure of the practicality of those. but they've really got a nice aesthetic about them. You know, you got people who specialize in them, like what's her name? The lady who does it, Pearsall, Scotty Pearsall. So she does beautiful pencil shanks. Nutton pipes, is it Bruno Nutton? He does them. And you got the Bing style almost. So they're not quite pencil shanks, but they're very thin, some of them. I've done a few, but not really pencil shanks. I can't say that they're really pencil shanks. For that, you know, I think you need to start working with stainless steel tubes running through them to strengthen them. I haven't started with that yet. But I must be honest, despite what I was saying earlier on, which Mike said about doing pipes what people want rather than what you want, I still feel that the pipes that I make, I want them to be practical. So unless it's a commission, you know, things like forward canted pipes, forward canted bowls, to me, it's just counterproductive. It's counterintuitive for me to make a pipe which has the bowl facing forward. So that you can't see what you're doing, you can't see the tobacco, you can't see what you're lighting. To me, it just doesn't make sense. Aesthetically, yes, it's beautiful, it's very nice, but you know, those I generally will do on a commission. But otherwise, so it's the same with the pencil shank. The pencil shank, you know, sometimes you see the ones that Scotty makes, huge long pencils. How she does it, you know, that's a great skill. And then you usually got a pretty hefty bowl on the end of it. So obviously you can't clench them, you've got to hold them. You've got to be really careful with them so you don't snap the shank. And for me, it's counterintuitive. It's just, you know, it's not me. It's not to say I wouldn't do them, you know, for a commission, but Happy New Year, Todd. Yeah, Boris, I would agree that the certain rustication styles that I've been doing are quite recognizable. I have noticed other people doing the carve blast after I started doing them for a while. I'm not saying that they copied me, but I hadn't seen them doing it before. So that's, you know, I think imitation is the best form of flattery, although some people think it's plagiarism, but what the heck. Even when they haven't been copied sometimes. Hi, Ross. Yeah, great. You know, I'm not complaining. I'm happy. You know, most of my pipes sell, so I can't complain. And as I've said in several videos, you guys have kept me going through this pandemic, and I'm trying to give you something back by the lives, so that, you know, during the pandemic, people have got stuff that they can watch, stuff that they're interested in. So it's a good two-way relationship, you know. The Sailor Pipeman, welcome aboard. I don't think I've seen you before. Thank you for joining. Happy New Year to you, sir. Or madam. The Magnum pipes are a bit of a niche, so I've been lucky that the most recent one, which I think is probably one of the nicest, not the nicest maybe, I have no idea, but you know, it's all, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But really, it worked out very, very well. How you doing, Hawk? Thank you, Sailor. I appreciate that. Nice of you to join the live. I do enjoy doing the Magnums. You have got a very nice Magnum, yes, Paul. You're quite right. But the most recent one that I did, which was pipe, what was it, 498, 499, something like that. I think that worked out amazing. Very happy with that pipe. That's going off to the States. Yeah, well, during the pandemic, Sailor, the reunions have been few and far between. The most recent one was with Jack the Piper, and we're supposed to be meeting up again at some point. But he's out of the area at the moment, so maybe next time he comes to London. In the Caribbean, cool. Well, I send pipes all over the world, so if you want one, get in touch. Yeah, the driving videos I haven't done for a while, although I'm sitting in the car now. But I haven't done the driving videos for a long while now. Not often anyway, once in a blue moon. But I don't do that drive anymore. I used to do that drive very regularly, and I don't do it anymore. I have no need for it anymore, so I don't do it. But I do want to start going to town again, to St James's. I have been into the Havana Cigar Exchange, which is the cigar shop that took over from Dunhill. My pipes are LCS Briars. I have a website, lcsbriars.com. If somebody wants to type that in, I can't type it in at the moment. If somebody wants to put in a link to my website, you can head over to my website. At the moment, there's 2 pipes available. There's a nice little author shape pipe, and there's a sort of a freehand. That's kind of magnum size. No news on JJ Fox, no. They have shown some interest, but I haven't been back since, and I need to work on that. I mean, it could be if JJ Fox, because they charge quite a bit more for the pipes. Again, they're in the centre of town. They can charge a premium. So it could be that they'll pay a little bit more. I don't know. You know, if they'd pay something approaching what I sell them for, then I would be happy to sell them to JJ Fox. It would be quite a catch, quite a cool thing if I could get some of my pipes in their windows. A veteran, cool. As the Americans say, thank you for your service. Cheers, Paul. Oh, a retired tobacconist. Well, thank you for your service. Hey, John. Welcome aboard. Happy New Year to you too. I'm smoking a Key d'Orsay 54 ring gauge, a Cuban cigar. Thank you, Sailor. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah? You fought in the Falklands. Cool. Recon. What, before the actual inflagration, or whatever the word is? Right. Conflagration is the word, isn't it? We're well into the second third, almost approaching the final third. I can sense it starting to turn. If it really does, I'm not going to fight it, I'm going to let it go, because it hasn't been the best cigar in the world. If I was going to be rating this cigar, it wouldn't be rated very high. It'd probably be getting a 5 or a 6 out of 10. I suppose the outstanding feature of this cigar is the potential it might have after a number of years. That's about it. The construction wasn't great. You know, the smoke output I had to work hard to get. Burn line, which I'm not usually too fussed about, but sometimes it indicates the quality of the rolling of the pipe. Thank you, Sailor. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. Okay, so that's a good question, Jeremy. The thing is like this. It's very unusual to get a blockage in a filtered pipe, unless you get so you won't get a blockage from the filter up to the mouthpiece, obviously. There's no reason to get a blockage. If you get a blockage between the filter and the bowl, that's going to be down to the type of tobacco and the way you pack your pipe. It can happen. I sometimes find if I've packed it or tamped it too much and I can't get a draw through it, I'll take a tool, like a pick like that, and I'll put it on the back end of the bowl, so your draft hole is down there as you go down, and I will just simply put it right tight against the back wall of the pipe till I find the bottom of the bowl, and then I'll just push gently towards the center, and all that will do is create a hole between the tobacco and the draft hole. You will find that it suddenly eases, it's completely open. Then you gently tamp it so it fills the hole back, but not enough to block it, and then you should be fine. If you get a piece of tobacco right up in there, there's not much you can do about it other than to take the stem off and just set the pipe down, let it cool down, and then do that, and then relight the pipe, unblock it and relight the pipe. So as long as you let the pipe cool down, and it depends on how you smoke your pipe. If you smoke your pipe slowly, like you should, then the stem and the shank are not going to get too hot. So you could leave it for a few minutes and then break it down without too much of an issue, and clean it out, and then just put the stem back in. You should be fine. If your pipe is really hot, then you just need to set the pipe down and maybe light a different pipe, and just consider that bowl done if you're blocked, if you don't want to take the risk of breaking the pipe down while it's warm or hot. This tool, I think I got this in the Israti sale. This is it's a Rogers. It's a classic name, Rogers. So it has the blade, it has the pick, and it has the tamper on the end. I have it open like this all the time. I don't use the blade. Well, very rarely, and I just use the pick. So when I'm cleaning out my pipe, getting rid of the dot or whatever it is, I just put the pick in. You don't want to stab the bottom of the bowl, but you just do it, put it in there, twirl it around, loosen up all the dottle, and then tip it out, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, a military mount will... A couple of the pipes that I've done recently, the non-filtered pipes, have kind of been a bit of a hybrid. So, and that's also kind of the result of using a wood lathe as opposed to a metal lathe. So when I make the tenon is very, very slightly tapered. So when it goes in, it's fairly, it just slides in because it's tapered, so it's narrower than the mortise. But as you get to 3/4 of the way up the tenon, it then it broadens out and then it tightens up, and it's got a very good fit. So they're kind of a hybrid between a military mount and a standard tenon. But a proper military mount, yeah, there's no reason why I couldn't do those. Look at that burn line. It's gone, hasn't it? I'm gonna have to take the band off. Take the band off, it's still it looks like there's half a cigar left. Kind of the band makes it look like it's almost finished when you start to get near the band. Yeah, that's something I might try, is to do an army mount with a 9mm. I might try that. You know, if you're doing a hand-cut stem, you can do that. And I do a lot more hand-cut stems these days. Hey Johnny, Happy New Year to you. Yeah, so Jeremy, the tension will feel different depending on the environment. So when you've got a proper army mount, you know, if it's a particularly humid day or if the temperature is higher, then there'll be a little bit of expansion in the mortise. So it might feel tighter one day compared to another day. I mean, that's okay. And, you know, if it's an army mount, it shouldn't be an issue. If it's looser one day, you just push the mount in a little bit more. If it's tighter the other day, it's in a little bit less. That's the whole beauty of an army mount. So it shouldn't really be an issue. I'm trying to think if I've done some army mounts with preformed pipes, proper army mounts. And as I say, the ones that I've done recently are kind of a hybrid. So those are hand-cut tenons, but slightly tapered, but they look like a traditional tenon, but they are actually tapered. So the pipe that Johnny's getting with the green stem, that one is a kind of a hybrid army mount. So that one is slightly tapered. And the Lovat that I did just now, the one with the carve blast, pipe 501, I think James is 502. So pipe 501, that one also has a slightly tapered tenon. Although the Lovat is a classic shape and it looks like a classic tenon, it's actually slightly tapered. My website should show 2 pipes as being available, unless they've sold in the last hour or two. But there should be 2 pipes available there. On the main front page, new and recent pipes, there should be 2 available pipes. As I say, one is the freehand, it's quite a big pipe, and the other one is like an author shape with a green swirly band on the shank, green and white and yellow kind of thing on there. Welcome back, James. Well, she did say in my last live that she wasn't doing lives anymore. I don't know why, but she did say that she wasn't doing any lives. I don't know if something prompted that. I asked her why, but she didn't answer. Steph and Skip, yeah, she said she's not doing any lives anymore. It'd be a shame. It's nice to have couples on. There's not that many couples that do videos, and they're a fun couple. Okay, Paul. Can you hear that crackle? I'm going to have to air out this car before I give it back. I hope I haven't got too much of a stink on the headlining. If you get 80 people, there'll be a giveaway. Cool. I will be doing a giveaway. I was going to be doing it tonight. But because I'm away and I don't have... Yeah, the birds, they're a bit early. Maybe they don't like the cigar smoke, or maybe they're enjoying the cigar smoke. So I was going to be doing it's kind of a New Year's special kind of thing, but because I decided last minute to go away, so I'm not doing it this week. I'll probably do it next Saturday night, all being well. It's my little sort of thank you to the YTPC for the last year. So hopefully that will happen next Saturday night. Just going to open the windows, get some air in here. came in? Andrew Srigiano? Yeah. Hey Andrew, how you doing? Long time no speak. Hope you're well. Hope you've had a good new year. Yeah, the raffles did go well. Those pipes will all go out during the course of this week. Yeah, Chad or Zad, that will take some doing for people. Oh, you did some holiday travels? Did you catch any tuna? Any boating? I was trying to think when the phrases that you put on the challenge, Chad, were on the surface of it. You could think that they'd be easy to work around those phrases because they're great phrases. They're evocative. You know, you'd think you could sort of invent a story and come up with that phrase, which you probably could do. But like you said, it means work. It means work. You know, you've got to. It's not a question of just doing a one-liner, you know, which would be easy enough to do, but it wouldn't be very creative. I think it would be easier for me to be a judge on that one. Cheers, Paul. I'll have a look at it. Massachusetts. Excuse me. Alright, coffee's done. Alright, I'm done. That cigar's done. I'm not gonna prolong the agony. I'm gonna go for a little drive just to air out. I'm gonna turn the camera around so you can see the roads. Cheers, Paul. I'll have a look at it. See if I can clean that lens a little bit. I don't know if that's any better. The roads are very bumpy here. Yeah, the engine shuts off on this car. It's an environment thing. It shuts off until you take your foot off the brake and it starts the engine automatically. And there are cameras on this road, so I can't drive too fast. That's all modern cars now. They do that. The engine. As soon as you stop, the engine stops. Take your foot off the brake, and it starts again. That's a dead end. that's dead end. It is. Bunch of kids hanging around here. So look at some of your comments. Yeah, lots of dead-end streets in the UK. Born to be wild, absolutely. Yeah, Sailor, I'm pretty sure that there's 2 pipes still available. You need to look a little bit closer. You might have to go to the second page. There's more than one page. At the bottom of the page, there's a load more button, and you can learn more. Yeah, English roads, they are quite narrow. This time of night it's not such a big issue, but you do have to be careful. But I love driving windy roads. I really enjoy driving windy roads. I like, you know, hugging the inside of the lane and all that kind of stuff. You can't drive it, you know, too recklessly. During the day I couldn't drive like that. It's a bit ironic that at night it's a bit safer to do that. Obviously, you know, there's still the possibility of somebody running out in the middle of the street, but at 2 in the morning it's unlikely. Well, 20 past 2, so I better get indoors. Well, folks, it's that time. I'm going to call it a night or a morning. I'll say thank you very much, everybody. There you go, Sailor 484 and 495. Sometimes you have to click the load more button at the bottom of the page. There's a load more. Basically, all the recent pipes are on there for a while, even if they're sold, and every so often I'll update it, and all the sold pipes will go to my gallery page. But the ones that I've sold recently do stay up for a while. But yeah, click on the load more button and you should be able to see those 2 pipes available. So anyway, I'll say thank you very much, everybody. I wish you all a happy new year, and I'll once again say thank you very much for all your support over the past year, and I look forward to seeing you all in the coming year. Thanks very much. Have a great night. Catch you on the next one.